Hello, welcome to Trust Your Glitter. Today is Sunday, the 24th of September. And for people who read charts in the orrery, which is moment charts, it's 1:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am not going live right now. I'm evolving a commitment I made to daily live streams. And I'm going to talk about it because there's the perfectionist inside of me that said, well, you made a commitment to live streams every day in the month of September, as I'm doing the artist's way, and live streams came up in my morning pages to do, and then my live streams started, then my morning pages started evolving into, but I really also miss doing audio with no restriction. So I'm going to create content every day. But what I found doing my live streams is they were becoming mechanical. And then I was starting to have panic attacks, creating a OCD ritual around them. So I also am going through a really long stretch of trauma-informed therapy, and I have my last appointment in this section of it on this week as I start to transition my life to another journey. So I have full backstory. I will talk a little astrology on here, and I will be back every day with some kind of content. I'm giving myself creative freedom to allow it to be what it needs to be. Whether it's a live stream, whether it's a TikTok video, it's going to be on all my platforms. So I'm going to put everything on every platform, whether it's a short video, a long astrology related or tarot related video, or, just me having chill talks with my coffee. And I am here to talk about this journey of, I started my podcast seriously in April on video, right when the spring equinox was happening, and we had these series of eclipses in Taurus, and I have the charts open. Why don't I go to the dates? Because I think that'll help a lot of people. So around April 20th, we had a new moon eclipse at 29 degrees Aries. Then we had a May 5th full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, and then May 19th we had a new moon in the sign of Taurus, setting us up for this eclipse season that's approaching. And we just had the fall equinox yesterday, so day and night were equal to one another. As we head into this week, we have a full moon at the end of the week on Friday, on the 29th of September at 6 degrees Aries. So when we I'm looking at this as like time folding and unfolding. And I'm looking at it as, here we have time points that folded us in the springtime, opened us up, right? But in a lot of ways, time folds, unfolds, time folds, unfolds. I think what happened was there was this opening, and then Venus went retrograde in the middle for a good amount of time, and then she won't even be, I said I wasn't going to do much astrology, but let me go into the ephemeris because I want exact dates. You're going to hear just ASMR here because all right, I just want to get the dates right. I think it's October 8th, but that doesn't seem specific to me. When we finally get out, Venus leaves the sign of Leo. And it's interesting, we don't have a lot of transits between this equinox. Yeah, Venus enters Virgo October 8th. And that doesn't mean that Venus left that shadow point, but I'm looking at this Venus and Leo transit as a huge assignment of 2023. Like, the biggest assignment we've had at this time, other than the eclipses, was this Venus Leo retrograde with Venus, in Leo, with the influence of Jupiter entering Taurus and Uranus still in Taurus. And then, now that we're the folding, unfolding feeling, whether you're folding into yourself, which is very fall energy, or whether you're finding that this transit, because the thing is, Venus retrograde wanted us to go inward. It just so happens for me on a personal level, this was an 8th house transit. I was in the trenches of psychology. The 8th house is like that shadow work house for all of us, sex, death, and taxes, with the taboo, the things that where we become the caterpillar butterfly phase of our lives, and very Mars ruled, very, very intricate stuff. So for me, my Venus retrograde transit ain't done, and my 8th house ain't done, because my 8th house is like both Leo and Virgo. So even as Venus enters Virgo, I'm still going through the 8th house. And for me, I didn't think that this transit would pop me back into my home, my childhood home, for so long. And as I'm kind of coming out of that, hopefully, right now I'm on, I don't know, this next week is going to be passing through. I like to call it like a time traveling week. I have lived a life where I move at the last minute. This is something that I've become very comfortable with, and I've had to teach myself to become very comfortable with. I've gotten housing at the last minute. It's always like up to the last day. And for me, I'm having to take this leap into an unknown. And this is my last hope. I'm knocking on wood, but hopefully, a huge thing that being in my childhood home, doing this work with trauma-informed therapy, and letting go of being able to control any outcomes, being able to change people's perception of, it's tough when you grow up in a place, and I'm on a heating pad right now, and I don't want to turn it fully off, but I don't want it, anyway. This is real. Okay. How do I put this in, to succinct words? For those who are doing any generational trauma healing, any generational wound healing, anything related to having to confront things that will never be confirmed to you, it's stepping away from what you were taught was right, and you're teaching your brain that what you were taught was right was actually a perception of what somebody's understanding of life was. So I've had to recreate neurological patternings, and it's going to be a life process of when you're, for example, raised by somebody with obsessive compulsive disorder or an anxiety disorder. I'm an only child, 2 parents who are diagnosable, in my opinion, of different things. The thing that you're taught that's right is their OCD rituals. So, for example, I was taught by 2 people who have extreme issues, and was taught that their extreme issues are the right way. So I've had to like go into that patterning and like teach myself, actually, this is somebody's mental illness. It's not not my mental illness. I have my own. But because there's such shame and stigma in society around mental illness, what I've also learned through this type of therapy is, owning the pattern and rejecting the pattern and teaching my brain that the pattern is actually not my stuff and not holding on to it. Did I need to come back to my childhood home and like look at things and assess them? I think I did, because I'm such a perfectionist and such a people pleaser that like I would find that when I would do the patterns wrong in society, that I would have a panic attack. And a huge part of this is like confronting these shadows, confronting the fact that like I am my own autonomous woman. It's taken me 37 years to really sit in that, because even when I was like on my own in New York City and like really on my own, I would be really worried that I was making people upset by just being myself, and learning that it's okay to step away and be your own authority. And that comes into this upcoming full moon. So the Aries full moon is a time for us to really lean into breaking away from these codependent patterns and saying no and saying yes to ourselves. So we have a week of being fully in Libra energy, which is about the partnership with others. And because Aries is the Martian sign of, like, if you think of a soldier in battle, think of the unfolding and the folding. So we had this solar eclipse, total solar eclipse, at the beginning of Aries season, at the beginning of the spring equinox. And here we are at the beginning of the fall equinox, and there's this unfolding of that total solar eclipse in many ways, saying to us, hey, we were in Aries season when a lot of new beginnings created a path in your life where you had to kind of forge a trail. For me, it's an odd trail because the indoctrination of stand-up comedy is you need to be in a comedy scene and thrive with us and like hustle with us, right? At that time, for example, I made the decision to move back to Maryland and fully lean into therapy, away from any comedy scene. And it was a hard decision because there's such a pressure to be in the middle of the party. And I realized, like, if I don't leave the party and do this therapy, I'm going to be trying to please my parents in this party forever, which is like authority figures, people who are, I'm not here to follow another person's path. I'm an Aries, so I'm just saying this as somebody who knows I'm not here to follow in the footsteps of anybody else. Game can recognize game, but if somebody's creating their own path, it's not up to me to go and gravitate to a place where that path was created. It's up to me to observe how they created that path and say, what elements matter to me, what elements don't. And at the same time say, well, actually, I'm looking at my natal chart, and this is for everybody. And my Aries is here, here, and here. And this is where you, as a listener, experience the total solar eclipse. The Aries in your chart in April and May, so think of it as like a phase, was lit up and asked to create something new, to create a new patterning. Aries is ruled by the head, so think of that neurologically. If it was, for me, it's, then we're falling into the 8th house. So in our charts, our 1st house and our 8th house are very Martian. Our 1st house is our ascendant area. Our 8th house is our scorpionic area. Scorpio is co-ruled by Pluto, the great transformer. That is where the shadow work, that is the planet of shadow work. 8th house is the house of shadow work. And Pluto in our chart shows us where we're going to have this. So they kind of go hand in hand. And because our eclipse season had this vibe of Aries, Scorpio, Taurus, and still does, we still have eclipses on the way, which our first one, we have a new moon solar eclipse, and that is 21 Libra on the 14th of October. And then we have a Taurus full moon lunar, or a full moon eclipse on the 28th of October. That's at 5 degrees Taurus. So that folding energy doesn't stop. It's bringing us back to the beginning of 2023 and a little bit of 2022. And it's specifically highlighting how much have you evolved. Everything could fall apart, right? An eclipse can do that, but it's our reaction to it and being like, actually, I've had this much growth and I'm appreciative of the fall. I'm appreciative of the tower. I'm appreciative of the tower card in tarot, where everything just gets knocked over. Because I'm ready for this adventure. I'm ready for this journey. I'm ready for this thing. Maybe your journey is leaning into your career. Maybe your journey is, hey, you've recognized that you love the path you're on and nobody can fuck with you after that. Very Aries vibe. Aries is the energy of like, all right, well, I'm a leader and you guys can look at this middle finger as I go do my shit. And as we approach this full moon in Aries on the 29th, there is a fuck you, I'm going to go do this thing. And I want to say thank you to Eliza Einhorn, because her tarot reading is the tarot reading I'm going to reference here. I'm not going to do a tarot reading on this podcast today. I was watching Eliza Einhorn. She was doing a live stream on her Instagram, and she does very like cozy live streams. She doesn't usually save them, so you gotta catch her when you catch her. And she did two. She did a series of them, and I really appreciated them. You can check her out, Moon Pluto Astrology. She comes at it from the reference of like somebody with a deep moon Pluto, which is she's going to go there in her readings. And I really needed a reading to just go there that day. And I'm going to reference yesterday's reading because she did an equinox reading. And she was doing open questions, and I just said, career. And she pulled 7 of Swords, my least favorite card. And I was like, fuck, my, guides are like saying, like, usually when I see the 7 of Swords, I'm like, oh, did I make the wrong decision? And the next card after it was the 6 of Wands, which is victory after battle. And I want to say that is, like, to me, when I sat with that card, I was like, oh, this is a collective reading, and I need to reference this reading in this podcast today, and just, shout out to Eliza Einhorn, great reader, Brooklyn-based, does not mince words, and so the 7 of Swords, I actually did, a writing about the 7 of Swords, because it's such a tricky card. It's very mercurial, it's very Mercury retrograde, but it's also a little bit evil. It's kind of a cunty card. It's just so cunty. It's like, The Seven of Swords is like that little brother that's just like super sneaky and like takes your shit when you're not looking, or like just an asshole. Like, I kind of view it as like the Joker. I view it as like a Joker. Like, when you look at the card, you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to contend with like instability and like have to really reframe whether people are telling me the truth, or like, am I telling myself the truth? Like, what lies am I facing here? Like, what lies have I been telling myself? What lies has society been telling me that I have to like really sit with? But when she pulled the Six of Wands after that, I was like, oh, that was it. You were battling the Seven of Swords. We as a collective battle with the Seven of Swords every fucking day. Think about it. Buy this shit. This is the thing that can change your life. And nothing can change your life but you. And I've been so on my case since I've been here in Maryland, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm FOMO. I'm missing out. Time is ticking by. Like, all this stuff where I'm like watching everybody online like thrive and go, follow their dreams. And, I'm never gonna run as much as David Goggins. I'd love to reference him because I just think I think one day his kidneys are gonna shut down, and like he'll still be running, and they'll be like, go hard, and then he's just gonna be like on a marathon and his kidneys just gonna fall out of his ass. I swear to God. Like, I understand, like, anyway, so it's just these things where I'm not putting that out there on David Goggins. It's just, if somebody told David Goggins, hey bro, like, just go sit in a hot tub for 10 hours, he would be like, I don't think he could handle it. I think it's a mental illness. I truly do. I need to say that. Can I be the one to turn against David Goggins and just tell the motherfucker to sit on a beach with like a beer? I really need that man to do that. And I just need him to rest. It gives me his shit gives me a lot of anxiety. He needs to get like some sort of manicure. He needs a spa day. We need David Goggins in the spa. When David Goggins posts a TikTok or something like that where he's just in a spa, then I'll take the bitch seriously. I really will. And I'm not calling him a bitch, but it's just like, girl, please, come on. Like, I'm not saying like don't back up on your diet, don't do anything, but please just show us you know how to rest, because rest and going hard are part of society, right? And okay, I just need him in like an infrared, like just anything, like a 3-minute video of just him being still and silent. That would really relieve my anxiety. Okay, so 7 of Swords into 6 of Wands. 7 of Swords, not a great card. Not a great card. When you pull the 7 of Swords, I recommend strongly to pull a clarifier with it. Here's why. Because, and if you're pulling any cartography cards, any regular playing cards, the 7 of Swords is either, this is how I read the 7 of Swords, is the 7 of Spades. So some people will read it as the 7 of Clubs. I personally read Swords as Spades. So when you are in that is related to communication. That's related to some sort of betrayal happened, some sort of people went behind somebody's back. And the 7 of Swords is like you're leaving these two swords behind. Generally, I see that as a retrograde. Like, you'll have to go get them. At some point, you have to go get them. Because at that point, you're just you're the 5 of Swords in the 7 of Swords. You only have the 5 swords with you. I'm leaning into that. As I record this, I'm looking at my life in front of me. I'm in my childhood room, which is basically a storage facility for me. It is New York City, Maryland, my whole life in Maryland, 30 plus years, being a military child, paperwork, Austin, Texas, Los Angeles, all these, Joshua Tree, all these places I've lived are in boxes and bags. And I'm looking at them as I record this. I'm looking at a suitcase that doesn't even have a zipper anymore. It's been around the whole world. And I literally wore the zipper off of this freaking suitcase. I'm looking at clothes I don't even need anymore. Like clothes that are just basically rags I wore over my body just to cover my body for years. You know, I gave up. I really used to love fashion. And when I left New York, I donated every dress I ever owned, every shoe that I ever loved. You know, I donated a lot of stuff because I walked away from the material. And I did it for years. And I punished myself and I hurt myself. And I really, really leaned into just whatever I thought I was doing. You know, I have purses that I've tied together. I have leggings with holes in them that I've worn probably for a decade. I have the same leggings, you know, that I've washed and washed and washed and washed over and over again. And realizing, like, what was this all about? What was this decade all about? Like, who was I trying to prove something to? You know, why did I have to punish my body like I was some kind of problem? And as we head into this week, where we're going to be really there's going to be this is how I view it. Between today is the 24th and even up until the 1st of October, I think there's going to be a test and a lesson of really confronting the codependency in our lives. When I started comedy, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I still don't know where I'm going to end up, like, on the career level. Meaning, like, what is this actually going to evolve into? What the hell am I doing? All I know is I want to create this business of my own. I want to lean into being a woman and not, you know, be, like, I think growing up where I was, like, raised in a military family where everybody was hustling, and, like, now I'm seeing the repercussions of that hustle. I'm seeing people who are not healthy and are going to be on pharmaceuticals for the rest of their lives, and used me as their excuse to not take care of themselves. I don't want to be that way. So if that means that I have to continue to de-doctrinate, I don't know if that's the correct term, deconstruct how I was raised by not only family, but by religion and by, you know, comedy, the comedy books, the comedy that I was raised under, because that's evolving as well. Like, the stand-up comedy requirements are not the same as they used to be. I really, really, like, think this week for all of us is going to be like, hey, here's a choice. Here's the old way. And here's the actual Six of Wands, which is victory after battle. Do you want to get stuck in this system? I think I know the answer. What, for me, I think I know what I'm going to be tested with, which is mental stuff, right? So it's going to be like, hey, come join us in our mental victimhood, right? I know that that's going to be my test this week. I just have a feeling. And I'm going to have to say, you know what? I actually choose to be successful. I actually choose to be happy. I actually choose to be in my own power. And I actually choose to appreciate being in my own power. I actually choose to see the truth of what the system is, both on a macro and micro level. And as I see that, I know that, yeah, I have a pile of crap that I might not be able to fully donate right now. I might not be able to actually have perfectly packed away, but I do know that this is just stuff. But the stuff that I've accumulated over the years, and it's not crazy. I'm not looking at like a hoarder's thing. I've just taken a whole bunch of things out into the light, and I have boxes and bags of things, because for so long I was traveling and my storage unit was the trunk of my car. And oddly enough, like, even the trunk of my car was semi-organized. Even keeping all of my shadow in the trunk was just like, okay, this bag is for this bag is for this bag is for paperwork, like this box is for this. And learning, like, I was running away from trauma. This whole fucking time, I was running away from trauma and not understanding that that's what it was. I didn't know that that's what it was. Trauma is so tricky because, trauma response and learning about trauma response is so important because it really helped me. So, like, fight, flight, fawn, I've done it all. Especially in comedy, I realize how many of these fucking men who are trash. A huge portion of stand-up comics of these men are fucking trash. I really have to say this. For anybody listening that's a comedy fan, I just have to let you know. A lot of these men a lot of them are painfully toxic. There's a reason why they chose this profession. And they are good at rallying a fucking entourage. It doesn't mean I don't respect the work or the hustle or what it took. But I will say this, I as an Aries, and this is my Aries full moon, can fucking choose better for myself. So as everybody wants to go along to get along in certain respects, this can be in like corporate culture. This could be in like whatever the fuck you're doing. Choosing better, choosing authority, your own authority, choosing to say fuck off. That shit is not sitting good with my soul. I love this full moon because I feel like the full moon's message is the zero fucks left to give message. This full moon coming up on the 29th is like, bitch, I got zero fucks left to give. Okay, you want to try your little Seven of Swords shit on me? It could even be yourself too. You could wake up in some subconscious bullshit. Like, oh my God, la la la, here's the victim rhetoric. Here's the shit coming up again. And then you sit there and you go, the full moon is going to give you that test. And the test is you saying, bitch, I have been through that before. We ain't doing that again. And you know who's going to help really clarify the situation? The new moon, solar eclipse, and then we had that full moon, lunar eclipse in Taurus that really does not have fucks left to give. I want to say the unfolding and the folding of this year is, this full moon, lunar eclipse in Taurus really could give a fuck what you think about it. I love the sign of Taurus for this. Okay. All right. You got an opinion about me? Guess what? I'm a queen. I'm Venus. That's what that eclipse is going to be. We're working with Mars energy right now, but Mars is in Libra. And Pluto is in Capricorn still. So with Mars being in Libra and the full moon being in Aries and the north node being in Aries and the south node being in Libra, there's going to be a little bit of a check and balance here. And I think what's really nice is the full moon cuts through the check and balance. It says, no. We stand up to this bullshit. We stand up to abuse. We stand up to false rhetoric. We stand up to the situation where you're not choosing yourself. We're standing up to the situation and saying, okay, time for you to go. Time for you to let go. Time for you to say no. Time for you to say this is bullshit. Time for you to give your middle finger to some bullshit. So thank you for listening to Trust Your Glitter for today. Who knows where my content's going to go? I don't know where it's going to go. I just know that I needed to do a long form, talk it out, not have my face on camera, and just really, really, really speak my heart, because 2027 is giving us a gift. We had to really, really grind it down. We really had to go inward this year. I think a majority of the people that I've spoken to on readings, or how friends of mine have reported, is this is one of those years where it unexpectedly took a turn. It was Venus retrograde. Where nothing of the old is working anymore. It just doesn't fit anymore. It's starting to show. It's like in the Truman Show. We're all fucking Truman. The radio station changed. It's an old movie, but if you ever see the Truman Show, it's like he gets into his car on his way to work. And I see Truman as society, right? We all changed the station and heard there was a production company behind that bullshit. So, take it however you need to take that, whether the production company is your own damn mind or whether it's like a greater system. The emperor is showing themselves. The light falls out of the sky. It was like a part of the Truman Show. Anyway, I need to get off of this and stop talking. I feel like I've said too much, but thanks for listening. Christy Belich on all social media. Trust Your Glitter. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I just know where I want to. I just know that my goal is, as I get freer. Yes, you can hear the crows in the background, the babies. That is one thing about Maryland that I love is the crows, because they're so cool. They don't bullshit if you listen to them. But as I get freer, I think my ultimate goal is, I don't know what I'm doing with my business. I'm calling this a business. It is a seedling. She is a seedling. But as I grow and create, all I want is for other women to also grow and create and feel more free and autonomous from this bullshit system that we were raised in. And that's ultimately what I want. I want women to be freer to express themselves. Women to be able to be like, this was fucking dumb. We can do better. And we can. We truly can. Women are inherently creative forces of nature. And we've been so deeply indoctrinated. It's time to recognize. And if you're having some kind of reaction to what I'm saying, if you're still listening, sit with that. Sit with that. If you're feeling a little hot in your throat from what I'm saying, sit with that for a second. If you're like, hell yeah, girl, I hear what you're saying, create a business. Get the fuck out of that shit. We can do this. I'm figuring it out one day at a time. So goddess bless, y'all. Goddess bless and have a great day.